A lovely good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show of today being the 22nd of June 2022. I am your host, Miriam Kaimba. We apologize for bringing the show a bit late, but anyway, we have a lot that we have lined up for you this morning. We hope you stay tuned with us until the end of the program. Of course, in the studio, I'm not alone. I am joined by my beautiful colleague, Prudence. Good morning.
Good morning, Miriam. Thank you so much to all the Camnet TV viewer. This is a breakfast show, a show that comes to your screen every morning from 07 hours to 09 hours, where we discuss a lot of happenings around in the areas of politics, business, economics. We speak to the area of health and sports and other disciplines. And of course, you're the viewer watching us in the comfort of your home. You are watching us, maybe you're already in the office. You are given an opportunity to just make a call and contribute with regards to the topic of discussion and some of the things that are pressing. Remember, the solutions to Zambia's current challenges lies in you. By offering those solutions, you are also ensuring that you are contributing positively to economic recovery.
Exactly, Prudence.
Yes,
how have you
Miriam.
been this morning?
No, I've been very fine. I am glad that I am alive. Waking up just this morning and knowing that I am alive, it's actually a big privilege.
A very big privilege.
I think we take this for granted.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we wake up and, of course, we are fit, we think it's for our own doing.
Yeah.
No, it's
I understand.
not. It's because God is good and is faithful. That's why you are alive.
He is very faithful, I must say.
Yeah.
And so Prudence, you had your breakfast, being the breakfast show today, this morning.
Hopefully.
But anyway, enough of the talking. Let us do what we know best every time when we come on this show this morning. We always emphasize the need for each and everyone to exercise. So right about now, we'll go direct into our morning boost. Catch us on the other side.
Good morning and welcome to our morning boost. And remember always to try do this at home early in the morning before you start your day. This is not the main workout, but this is just to help you get started your day and keep fit. So therefore, let's go. We're gonna keep it easy today. We'll make some aerobics movements. Aerobics is good for you, for blood circulation, to control your blood pressure, and also to make sure that you stay fit. So we're going to make some basic moves in aerobics. Let's go. Very easy. We start with marching. Go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to our show. Let's go. Step touch. Last one. Hamstring. Last one. Knee high. Last one. Lateral legs. Last one. We're going to put now all the four together. That's what we're going to do. Okay, let's go. Last one. And knee high. Last one. Stiff touch. Last one. Step touch. Last one. Knee high. And marching. Keep marching, keep marching, keep marching. We're gonna change now. 2 knee each. Let's go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's keep pushing. I know you feel like giving up. Check with your neighbor how many minutes you've done. Let's go. Go. 2 each. Now let's do it faster. Change. 1, 2. 4. 4 each. Last 4. 2 each. 2. 2. 2. 3 each. Go. And marching. Go. How are you feeling on your legs? Let's go now. March, 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 march. Keep marching. We're almost there. Let's go. March, 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 march. My producer is dancing behind the camera. I wish I can show you. Let's march. Let's go. Bring in a B step now. It was a pleasure doing a workout with you this morning. I look forward to another workout with you. Make sure stay fit and enjoy the rest of your day. This is Isaac Matsa, and guess what? I'm signing out. Thank you.
There you have it. That was the morning boost. I hope you have exercised with us. If at all you're going for work and you were unable to do that, there's no problem. After you knock off, you can actually go through this clip and just go to that particular part where there was the morning boost, and you can exercise even before you go to bed. Exercising does not necessarily mean in the morning. It can be done in the evening, in the afternoon, in the morning, as long as you're doing it the right way in order to keep fit. I always emphasize when I come on this program to say, remember, you cannot be productive if at all your body is not in good shape. Miriam.
Exactly, Prudence. You know, it's as we continue to carry the rest of the day's activities, it's always important to always ensure that you keep fit so that, you know, you get yourself running. And talking about health, when it comes to ensure that you keep fit. I don't know today what we have with the doctor's corner, the healthy corner, but anyway, let's get to see what we have this morning. The Healthy Corner is one of the segments that comes every single day on our breakfast show in the morning. And in case you would, it's up for sponsorship, right? Yeah. Exactly.
It is, in case you would like to sponsor that segment so that we continue seeing the Doctor's Corner on Camnet TV every morning. You can come through our sponsors, get in touch with us on the numbers that are on the screen, and let's get to interact. How is it that we can continue to have Doctor's Corner on the breakfast show? Remember, the health aspect that they talk about on this show every day is very important. If you do not learn something, then I just don't know, because apparently there are a lot of things I thought I knew in life, but after having to listen to what the doctors have to say, Miriam, actually I realized there is actually a lot that we need to learn. So in order for us to continue hearing the doctors speak on this program, or rather that segment is up for grab to our sponsors.
We always need to listen to what the doctors have to say, Prudence, because they have been trained for that thing, exactly. So anyway, let's see what we have for in our Healthy Corner this morning. Please stay tuned.
Good morning and welcome to this segment of the show. My name is Dr. Songiwe Teresa Chiluba and I'm from the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. This week, remember, we're discussing sickle cell disease, and for today we'll be discussing screening and diagnosis of sickle cell disease. So just a quick recap. Sickle cell disease is an inherited condition that results from the inheritance of abnormal genes coding for hemoglobin, okay, leading to the production of abnormal hemoglobin, which is called hemoglobin S or sickle cell hemoglobin. Okay, so today we're going to discuss diagnosis and screening of this condition. So the various screening and diagnostic modalities that are available for sickle cell, and this can be done both prenatally or postnatally. By this I mean before the birth of your child or after the birth of the child. Okay, so the screening tests include what is called the solubility test, as well as the sickle scan and the sickling test. So these are called screening tests because they're just going to tell you, or they're going to tell your healthcare provider whether or not your blood or your child's blood contains this abnormal hemoglobin or the sickle cell hemoglobin. But however, they do not tell you whether you are just a carrier, or this means that you have the sickle cell trait, or you actually have the sickle cell disease or sickle cell anemia. Okay, so this only serves as a screening tool. However, if you want to make a diagnosis or you want to differentiate between the three, which is sickle cell trait, sickle cell anemia, and sickle cell disease, you'd have to do one of the three tests, which include isoelectric focusing, hemoglobin electrophoresis, as well as liquid chromatography, high-performance liquid chromatography. So these three tests are now the ones that are going to differentiate among the three. So now how do we interpret these tests? So these tests test for different types of hemoglobin that can be present in our blood. So these hemoglobins that they're going to check for are the adult hemoglobin, the fetal hemoglobin, and the abnormal hemoglobin that we're looking for in this case, which is the sickle cell hemoglobin. So for a normal person, or rather let's say for a person that does not have sickle cell, they are supposed to have only two types of hemoglobin. For the sake of this discussion, they're only supposed to have two types of hemoglobin that should be traced, which should be the adult hemoglobin and the fetal hemoglobin, and the majority of which should be the adult hemoglobin. About 98% should be adult hemoglobin, and only 2% should be fetal hemoglobin. So this is what you would find in a patient or in a person that does not have sickle cell. But in the case where a person has sickle cell trait, in which case they have genes coding for sickle cell, one of the genes coding for sickle cell hemoglobin, and the other coding for the normal hemoglobin, which is the adult hemoglobin. So in this case, when we do these tests, which are the diagnostic tests for sickle cell, you're going to find that about 60% is going to be the normal adult hemoglobin, and only 40% is going to be the sickled hemoglobin. So now, if you look at this proportion, this actually explains why patients that have the sickle cell trait are only going to have mild symptoms, or are not going to have any symptoms of sickle cell at all. This is because they actually have most of the normal hemoglobin in circulation. However, if you were to do these same tests on blood samples from a patient that actually has sickle cell, you're going to find that majority of their hemoglobin, about 75 to 95%, is actually going to be the abnormal hemoglobin, which is the sickled hemoglobin. Okay? And this is how we're able to make a diagnosis of sickle cell disease. Okay, so remember, we've discussed today the screening modalities as well as the diagnostic modalities. The screening modalities, we looked at the solubility test, the sickling test, and then we also talked about the sickle scan. So these are just going to tell you whether you actually have the abnormal, which is the sickle cell hemoglobin, in your blood or not. But the diagnostic tests are the ones that are going to differentiate. So now, why is it so important for you to be able to differentiate among the different types of sickle cell or the type of hemoglobin that you have in circulation? So this is important because it also determines your likelihood of actually transmitting sickle cell or giving the sickle cell genes to your children. Okay, so it's important to go for these tests even in as much as you might not have signs and symptoms of sickle cell yourself. Because let's take, for example, you have the sickle cell trait. You're not going to have the signs and symptoms of sickle cell, but if you have a partner that has the sickle cell trait as well, you have about 25% of transmitting the sickle cell disease to your offspring or to your children. So it's important for you to go for this screening and diagnostic tests as well, even in as much as you might not have sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease. How else is this important? Even if you have sickle cell disease and you know you do have it, and you want to have children with your partner, it's important for both you and your partner to have these screening tests done, because again, if you have sickle cell yourself and you have a partner that has the sickle cell trait, okay, meaning they carry one gene for sickle cell, this is going to mean that you have a 50% of having children that have sickle cell. And these are important as a way of preparation, okay, in the event that you might have a child with sickle cell, okay, and also it helps you decide whether you should be with that partner or not, because it gives you an idea of what medical conditions, in this case sickle cell, your children might have. So that brings us to the end of our edition for today. So remember, we've been discussing sickle cell disease, and today we looked at the diagnostic test as well as the screening test for sickle cell. My name is Dr. Songiwe Chiluba, and I'm from the Medical Women's Association of Zambia.
Quite a very interesting and educative topic that we had there from Dr. Chiluba, who was talking about sickle cell and the importance of if you have it, you should go for screening to avoid transmitting it to your offspring. She also mentioned about if you have it and then your partner does not have it, there's a 25% chances of you transmitting that if you do not go for screening. So it's very, very important that you do as advised by the doctor. Yeah, Prudence, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, of course, Miriam, very important. She's talked about screening and diagnosis. Remember that your health is your wealth. And sometimes you don't want your offspring to have certain conditions. And the only way you can avoid that is by ensuring that you go for screening. I think these are the things, Miriam, we take advantage of when they say go for screening with your partner before you get married. I think most couples
avoid that. we avoid that.
Yeah, we rarely do that, but it is very important for you to know if you are to have children today, would they have health complications or situation like that
in life?
Yes, I think we need to start taking screening, Miriam, very important, even as we make decisions of what we want to see in our next future. Yeah, and of course, when we come on this program, we also like to look at the money market. How is it that our local currency is faring against other major convertibles? So right about now, we are going to look at how is it that the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. For those who are doing business and you like to buy goods from outside Zambia, this is how it looks like today. So the Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar is buying at 16 kwacha 84 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 17 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the British pound is buying at 20 kwacha 66 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 07 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 06 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 08 ngwe. That is the money market for this morning. To all
and we have seen for quite some time our kwacha is trending at 17 kwacha. It's a very good thing, Prudence.
Yeah, Miriam, it's very important to have a stable currency. And that's what we've always been saying on this program, to say we've at least seen our local currency stabilize in the past few months, around 16 kwacha, 17 kwacha, or rather between 16 and 17
17, yeah.
kwacha. That is impressive.
We don't want to see it go to 21, 23 last time.
No. We hope when the debt restructuring issue is done with, we are not going to see a big impact actually on our local currency, because that also will be a determining factor to how is it that our local currency is going to be performing. Remember, right as at now, we are not repaying our debt, so we have some liquidity in the economy owing to that. We are not pumping the dollars out. They are still in circulation. As a result, our local currency has been stable. But what happens when we begin now to export our dollar in the country by repaying our debt? This is a question I hope our stakeholders and the government is working on that, as they have always mentioned, to say they are working at ensuring that there is economic recovery. We've seen inflation rate reduce. We've seen the GDP is now growing at above 2% from negative 2% last year. This is progressive, and if we keep seeing that, and of course the high cost of living, Miriam, which everyone is talking about. Talking about that, we saw the United Party for National Development spokesperson Cornelius Mwetwa on Monday, it on Monday, hold a press briefing where he talked about the high cost of living and said, do not blame the high cost of living on us. We are only 9 months in government. We found things were bad, and we are working at ensuring that we table that issue. The issue of high cost of living, if it was to be tabled, like the issue of free education, we could have already done that. We promised you that, but free education we promised and we fulfilled. There is now free education. Other things that we promised, such as stopping cadreism, we've done that. Ending corruption, we've done that.
And talking about cadreism, Prudence, we have seen a lot of complaints on social media of late of people saying that cadreism is still happening in the market, and this is something that our newsroom should follow up. Yeah, I
don't know who to blame, whether it is the police or the political party members or maybe those in the UPND with regards to this, but I don't know who to blame. I'm not going to point hands, but I think our men in uniform, men and women in uniform, could have done better, considering that the president has directed that we do not want to see cadres in these markets. If police officers have been going in the markets and arresting these cadres, do you know that we could have seen a situation where there is reduced cadre in bus stops, but it is left open, so people can just go there and do everything they want. So I'm kind of wondering,
and you know, the sad part comes in when you're a trader, Prudence. You are trading from maybe city market. You know, it's very hard for you to go and report a chairman of a certain political party because you fear you might be victimized.
Might be kicked out of the market.
Yeah, exactly. So it becomes hard.
And you know the sad part, Miriam, my mother had an experience with the cadres at one point. I shed tears because I really felt bad, and I told myself I don't want this to continue in my country. I think she was coming from the farm that was last year in 2020. In 2021, and she actually came with sweet potatoes that she wanted to sell. When she just arrived at the market, the cadres came and said, this one is my client, without her even knowing what was happening. And then from there, Miriam, the cadres demanded some money just for offloading the sweet potatoes from the truck. And then where she was putting them, that is a cadre's ground. You have to rent it. And that time, they charged her a 50 kwacha just for simply offloading. And they said, this is in the morning. By the time it will be 9, 10, if you've not finished selling, you have to pay. If again, your sweet potatoes go the whole night until yesterday, in the night, you have to pay another fee. And in the morning, again, you have to pay another fee. So, you know, she was prompted to sell the sweet potatoes at a lower price, just in order to get away from having to pay rent on someone's land. Who buys land in the market? Who buys land in a market?
And you know, the sad part is that the local authority should be the one supervising and taking charge of such situation, but it's unfortunate that we have cadres doing that. But anyway, I love that currently the situation is a bit stable, but we still have these cadres in the market, and there's need to urgently address this. To our viewers out there, we are now opening our phone lines in case there's something happening, trending in your community in Chawama, in Jongleng. Please do give us a call and tell us the challenges that you are facing and what is trending Of course, Prudence, we heard yesterday when I was sharing the set with Zipporah, people were calling from different places. One example is for a caller from McKinney who was complaining that the police, how they operate, you know, they had a lot of issues. You find that you go to a police station, you want to report a matter, or sometimes you want to go with them somewhere elsewhere. They'll tell you, no, I don't have fuel, you need to pay for logistics. And these were some of the issues that people raised.
Talking even about that, we are going to play a clip of a mother who is in search of a 39-year-old son who went missing 2 months ago. She has accused the police of not helping her in any way because she reported the matter 2 months ago, and the police have not even bothered to go to the place where he was staying and interview even his friend in order just to get even a little bit of information on where his whereabouts. So she's now hoping that the relevant authorities, or maybe the country, or maybe a person who might have seen her son can get in contact with her.
And this is over. It's 2 months because the police would declare someone a missing person after, is it 48 hours? Yes, but this is over 2 months and they're not taking interest.
Nothing. And you know, when research happens, the first thing that someone
was she told that she needs to pay for logistics for them to...
of course, they've not been telling her anything, and she only, unfortunately, sells on the street some few things, among them tomatoes and vegetables, just here near Kabulonga, somewhere down there. When you're passing, this vulnerable mother.
Anyway, Prudence, we have a caller. Let me just hold your thought there. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
We are fine, thank you, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is from the calling in from the center.
Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
My contribution is I'm trying in this from the topic that I need to funding what is inside her. And I feel that as a nation or as journalists, we need to follow on the first month and the report so much about the American student in the month in house. How they are trying to set up good in town. If you have to set up a good in town, and they are not being allowed to the only kind that are to do that for you. Put a book anywhere in town without the very important speaking pattern. And I've always do that. The moment they realize that you have set up a book somewhere, you realize that these guys will come to you and they tell you, you need to do this, you need to do everything, not to take you to council. And they have some guys from council that you go from there and council guys, they cooperate with them. And they work together to make sure that they charge. So this thing is still there and it's still happening. Well, there is nothing that has been the London town is still under charge.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you so much for that contribution. We will be forwarding some of the contributions that have been made on this program to the relevant authorities. We will be asking them these questions.
A very serious concern, Prudence. You know, the president, yes, did give a directive. We don't want to see cadreism in markets, in bus stations, but this is happening, whether we like it or not. And these are the concerns.
They are conniving with the Lusaka City Council to ensure that they charge you.
It might not be the whole council, but there are certain individuals at the Lusaka City Council conniving with them. So anyway, it's something that our newsroom should follow up, and we see how this case, will take us.
Yeah. So we were talking about playing a clip where a mother is in search of a lost son. Let's see what they have to say.
This 60-year-old woman of Lusaka's Kalikiliki compound is in desperate search of her 38-year-old son, Charles Sakala, who she says has been missing for the past 2 months. The mother, who wrote to Camnet News 21st June 2022, discloses that she reported her missing son to the police, but no useful information about his whereabouts has since been established. She has tried searching through mortuaries in Lusaka, but with no trace of her son. She has since called on the members of the public to help in the search.
Charles Sakala. So, anaru tutama pisweki kumtendele, penzo nyamulako mdiyo kumtendele. So si one day anagwera uza banzake ukamba kuti naenda. So pamene anaenda stizi wataisa kusakira sapezeka ku polisi ku UTH ku Levi tinaendako paka ya Palomba tafikana kuno Romba. Albe phone but ana zaka almost 38 years. Enda tachoka ku polisi tinaenda tinambira kukalikiriki taenda Mtendele kunani Kalingalinga paka Chainama kunani ku Cheston chwa ku Cheston watituma kunani ku Mwasakapwepwe tachoka ku Mwasakapwepwe taenda ku Udrans tachoka Udrans ndiye kubwera ku Komboni.
Meanwhile, Kandra Nyambe, who was staying with the victim, says the night before his disappearance he overheard a phone conversation between his roommate and a known woman.
Tindiri mjamzanga na bwana unachoti kachijidwe chi kamba kuchinja kachijwe ezota akauka usiku akaenda short time futi pasapita ku 50 minutes futi abwera nichacho nchitika pano mzanga huyu tunachi ambuchinja chinja chimuntu chapi chinja to chapi manja tesini ndakabura ngate bwanji nikabura uri amaye wao nikabauza bila hapa mzanga simamu sio day trapota gona mnyumba after tagona ineneze meso nabwana mvira pakona akamba na wakazi so inangala udapo maningine njaje vifitika mnyumba.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
That is a mother who was in search of a 38-year-old son who has been missing for 2 months. She says she has reported the matter to the police, but they kept sending her from one police to the other, and so far she has received no help. But according to a friend, Kendrick there, who was staying with the victim, he says the few days or a day even before he disappeared, it was more like hallucinating, Miriam. He was saying his behavior started changing. Sometimes he would just wake up, go out in the night, come back. Sometimes he would be talking to himself.
But you know, Prudence, you know, it leaves me have a lot of question mark. When the friend noticed that, why didn't he try to alert the family?
Yeah, that was also the mother's concern. To say immediately he saw that was happening, he would have highlighted the family. He would have at least even brought it up to the family, and we would have taken him, if it was maybe a mental issue, we would have taken him to a health facility as quick as possible. And the friend says the day before he went missing, in the night he was heard speaking to a woman who he was telling, can you move out of my house, go to your place. It's like this woman was locked up from a place, so she decided to seek shelter at his place, and he was telling her to say, can you go to your place? And the following day in the morning when he woke up, he was like speaking, and the last word that he said is, I am going.
Wow.
And no one knows where he is up to now. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Sir, good morning. You're through to Camnet TV. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good morning, Camnet. How are you today?
Fine,
We are fine.
How are
Thank you. How are you?
Thank you so much. This is Mr. Tilda on the line.
Mr. Who?
I'm very, very fine. I was in Mushala in my plane. They are public so-called.
They are all okay.
Mushala.
She's very fine.
She's very fine. Please kindly reduce the volume
on your TV set.
Yeah, I think the issue of capitalism in the market. Yeah, I think I'm clear now.
Yes, please. We can hear you.
I'm a UPND official. And regarding your station, and I want to make your point very, very clear that the issue of capitalism is still there. I'm the person who's been fighting for the bus driver. There are some notorious party officials who are still employed in the mentality of fear. When we were campaigning, we make the point very, very clear that there will be no catalism in public places, i.e. markets and bus stations. Catalism is there. People that are being harassed. Go right now, for example, at River Tower. The issue which I think is very popular with you on the Camnet TV there. Drivers are still being forced to pay some amount of money to those cutters that are formed an illegal committee. And that illegal committee is being supported by some of the party officials. Some of the party officials are even at the province. So that's one of the guys who are supporting that is Chitangwa. The provincial vice chairman will support that. When some other part of you, like what is Banjako, Mutonga, and the Reserve meeting, are not in support of that. When a notorious officer judge there, who are having the local government is aware of that. Madam Moroma, the one who did the point the growing confusion there. We thought that that can really move this lady there. Can be there in the time here for that, the name for that woman. But they have continued I really think I tell you her there. Every day she gets a certain amount of money for those there. More and people there. So for me, the president has made the direction very, very clear. Minister of local government has made the point very, very clear. It is at city market there, Lumumba, even at the capital, I mean at the Lumumba city market at the Limatawa there. And that is here. Some people in an investment not contributing to one killing, but it has not something you can compare company. But you want the issue to be balanced out of that killing, where there is no transparency and accountability of the reasons that is being generated, that is being diffused. From where we get, we took the money as far as even the provision, the provision, and the police commander, Mr. Masia. It's all of that. We took the money to the open judge for us from that state of Mr. Masia. There's all of that. We get you know, all of them they are aware. But what happens is that the moment you start pushing them, that will be hated. No drivers who bring the issue to my side. They have to be the case of just of activities local. We even confiscated the book where everything is getting the revenue. This guy maintain the correct not less than 15 billion. So how many roads, for example, are there like in what in my tower there? There are about 15 roads. Go and take those. I'm talking about something. And you never feel that the same then you take it to court and not prove it.
Okay.
The council, they are only collecting 45 like at the pass. And the council, they are collecting 50 points each time the pass goes out of the station. Who accounts for that money? So we are complaining that the best, some also some local managers, others, they are not even doing their job. They are given the power for local government can do a little bit. That you are in charge of those stations. But they are not doing as per their job description. They recognize that issue, they recognize the cutters there.
So, sir, what do you suggest that certain mechanisms that the local authority, even government, can use to ensure that we deal with this issue once and for all? What are some of the solutions that you would suggest the local authority should use? Okay, we seem to have lost that caller.
Unfortunately, we've lost the caller, but he's made very important submissions there. It says cadaverism is still very much alive in these bus stops. He's given us a challenge to go to Lima Tower, Miriam, where he says just go and see what is happening at Lima Tower.
And you know, the issue of committees paying Chilimba, it has always been there, Prudence. I remember someone telling me that per day, those to my small buses pay like 45 kwacha per day. So every time you load people, you are going out of the station, you need to leave 45.
Yeah,
so imagine how many trips
for the council. The council collects a 45 kwacha. But what he was saying is that there is an addition of 50 kwacha, which these cadres are collecting from the same bus when the council collects a 45 kwacha. He says there's some chilimba thing in these stations. I don't even understand. That money, when us get to hear from bus drivers, where does that money go?
Exactly.
We have another caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Camnet.
Good morning, sir. Please, you're through to Camnet. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, I'm actually, this is the man who just from contributing. What is that? I just train up.
Oh, okay. Okay, please, go ahead.
Reduce the volume on your TV set.
I was just still on the platform of submitting. Everybody who wants to challenge me, let him come out open. I'm a bona fide senior daily UPS official. And even right now, I know my colleagues there, actually, I've mentioned some of the people there. And even as I'm talking, contacting the local government housing minister is going to attest to you that indeed we even had a meeting at his office. Where, for example, one of the guys got picked up in about America. They want to be smart to really my bad. Apparently, serving as the chairman there at the madam. From here, the people they misunderstood the directive, the category, they misunderstood the directive of the president when he said don't harass people there. So what they are doing is they are telling the people that we believe in people can make what they have done that but that experience of how they for the money of the people. So what is supposed to be done there is I want to be very, very honest with you. I'm just very disappointed with the so-called council managers. Council managers have got the power to go and relate to the local government housing minister. I would go. He may not be aware of what is happening on the ground, but right now it's aware. That is the more reason why the other time so you can't be patronizing what's that in Mumba and etc. Even the president came there, he was just with that information. So if the council manager supports the council managers and if what I'm suggesting, we need new council managers. In all the three stations, before that's the intercity, the Matawa there, the Mumba, what they are telling the people. Other guys connect with the church of the Kaja. I'm very disappointed with some of my senior part officials, particularly from the youth wing. They pretend with their own experience like nothing that is happening. Even the way they are look at the fact that was yesterday, I thought it was even on down. Where one of the was even saying that great issue there at the city market, that PH market there. Here, where a part official is in contradiction with the submission of the party spokesperson for Cornelius Metro. Cornelius Metro speaks the fact, even though the minister was very realistic and very fast, it's Cornelius Metro. What Cornelius Metro is a grassroots leader. When he speaks in tandem with the realities on the ground. So what is so annoying? What he made the people of Zambia to put out the PM is because of the arrogance they were actually brought in, caused by cutters. People that are being harassed, yes, there is that paradigm shift. People they are no longer necessarily being harassed. But for them to begin giving a stop start breaking, they are a big time. I'm a part official. For the part to road there, being diplomatic, go there, you'll see what is happening. You got it, if I don't get the bus driver there, I'm going to pass by. You see, guys, the bus drivers are still being harassed right now. If you still have to have a driver, they cannot really be around the training there.
Okay, sir, I'm giving you a minute to summarize.
On top of what I'm saying is, let the customer be on top of him. Cadarism is there. Let the party officials do what the executive directed through the president. There should be cadarism there. People they must trade it freely so that people don't see the difference in PS and UPS. People they must enjoy the benefits of voting for UPS. I thank you. I'm Mr. Joseph Malake calling from China.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. That is a Senior United Party for National Development, UPND party official who's saying, I might be in the party, but if you go to bus stations, cadarism is still there. He's mentioned some names in his own party who he says, if you say I am lying, please challenge me even before the courts of law. I will be able to show evidence.
A very good challenge that he has put up to ensure that indeed he knows what he's saying. And
he's also challenged the council managers to pull up their socks, saying you have been given the authority by the government, by the president and the local government minister for you to end cadarism. But what is happening right there is that you are conniving with the same cadres to collect money from people. Wherever you are watching us, this is Camnet TV Breakfast Show, and we're looking at the current affairs. And one of the issues that has come up is the issue of cadarism. From where you're watching us, let's get to hear, let's get to interact. How is cadarism in your area? What is the situation with regards to that?
I would like to hear a trader selling at City Market or Kamwala, you know, just to call us to give us a feel of how it has been like for them. Including bus drivers themselves.
Yeah, of course. We are talking about that. And then again, zooming into one story that made headline yesterday, we saw Miriam, a dead body was picked up yesterday in Woodlands area where in an unknown circumstance, a man actually died. And of course, the people there are now saying police officers are really not helping because they're not patrolling and they are now living in constant fear. So let's zoom into that headline before we invite our guest today, where we are going to have a fruitful discussion. For everyone watching us, please keep those phones open. We're going to give you an opportunity to just call and make those submissions. An interesting guest is coming up. Before I can even tell you who it is, we are going to play this short clip on the incidents that happened yesterday.
Has been found dead in border view of Woodlands Chalala area in the early hours of Tuesday by some passerbys in unclear circumstances. A check by Camnet TV News found an eyewitness, Tazo Tutu, who says the man has been recognized by some residents as one of the worst speakers in the area. He says it is difficult to state what could have led to his death, as his body does not show any wounds, neither is there any trace of blood to suspect any foul play.
From picked just some few minutes ago. He's not a resident of this area. These are waste pickers who are coming from the compounds. And those are the people who sleep anywhere. Where he found a nice bushy sleep. In the morning they pick my waste, like my recycled bottles, all these things. So otherwise he's not a resident of here. And we even suspect that these are the same people who are taking us at night. Because he's not stay here. We don't know him. Yeah, so another appeal, we just appeal the owner of this land to clear it. It has been like this for many years.
And the New Woodlands Extension Neighborhood Association chairperson, Njoya Tembo, says the incident has brought fear among residents who have since called on the police to intensify patrols, especially at night. Mr. Njoya says he has informed the Lusaka City Council to clear the bushes in which the man was found dead in, saying it might lead to other cases if left unchecked.
And this area has been earmarked for clearing. It would have been done last week, but there are a few logistics that needed to be in place. So all the areas which look like they are a security threat, the residents of New Woodlands want to see to it that everything is attended to, everything is handled, and the place is secure for the residents and those that come as visitors.
Meanwhile, efforts to get an update from the police proved futile before broadcast time. Messi Chanka reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
As the Patriotic Front Party is racing against time to host its elective general conference to elect the party president to take over from former Republican and party president Edgar Lungu after he relinquished the party post, PF presidential aspirant Chishimba Kamuli feels he is democratically obligated to take over the leadership of the party, which lost power to the United Party for National Development in August 2021. And even though reports have indicated that the opposition political party has failed to meet its 5 million kwacha budget to host the convention, which would see the ushering of a new party president, Dr. Kamli says the convention will definitely take place, and despite him holding the view that he is the right person to lead the party, he leaves it all to party members to make that decision.
The convention will definitely come. And when the convention comes, my feeling is that today PF is in a situation where we are because of just uncertainty. You know, we've lost a few members who are not patient because of uncertainty of who is the future president, substantive president for that matter. And I feel that once the convention is held, the president is elected, whether Tshishimbaka Mbwile or anybody, people will unite behind that person who's going to be elected. And I think what you are seeing as squabbles will definitely come to an end.
Meanwhile, Dr. Kambuli, who claims to have a lot of experience and vision on where to take Zambia, says once he is elected as the party leader, he will ensure that he ushers back the party into power and help address the sufferings that majority Zambians are facing.
When you aspire, you always think you are the right person. But the onus is on the people who are going to elect the president to lead the party. You expect me to say that I'm not the right person? Why am I aspiring if I'm not the right person? You know, but even Emmanuel Mwamba would say he's the right person. Even given Luwinda would say is the right person. That is why we need the convention, for the people to go and say, as far as we are concerned as PF, this is the man that we want. Proactivity and not being reactive. Proactivity and not being reactive. Pro-poor and not being capitalist.
PF Acting President Given Luwinda, former Information Minister Tshishimbaka Mbwile, PF Chairman for Legal Affairs Brian Mundiwile, and former Ambassador to Ethiopia Emmanuel Mwamba are some of the party presidential hopefuls. The party is currently rebranding after losing the 12 August 2021 general elections to the current administration. The former ruling party has said that it is instilling discipline in the party and doing away with hooliganism. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to Camnet TV, not just another channel. Before we went on that break and of course playing those clips, we were discussing a very important topic, that is with regards to colorism, where we saw some of the callers call and speak to that. But this morning in studio, we are joined by our guest who's going to take us through this hour as we get to discuss a lot of important aspects. One thing you should realize is the United Party for National Development in 2021 formed a coalition with other political parties where they came together and formed an alliance to ensure that they kicked the Patriotic Front Party out of office. And now we have seen the same Patriotic Front Party conniving with other political parties, about 12 political party leaders, with the intention of removing the United Party for National Development administration out of office come what 2026. The question then that banks for answers is, are alliances now the way to go to defeat the government that is sitting? In studio today, we are joined by Mr. Cassius Akapelwa, who's the General Secretary for the Republican Progressive Party, which is in an alliance with the United Party for National Development that, of course, won the 12th August 2021 general elections. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much for this invitation.
Of course.
We're glad to have you on set.
Thank you very much.
This is Mr. Cassius Akapelwa, the Secretary General for the Republican Progressive Party, and of course an alliance member in the United Party for National Development. Speaking about alliances, Mr. Akapelwa, maybe let me start with this question. What is the future of your party? Are we going to see you continue with the UPND alliance come what 2026 and going forward? What is the future of your party? Is the alliance here for you to stay? And if that is the case, don't you think your political party will be swallowed by the alliance and in the process maybe lose its relevance?
Well, thank you very much for that question. But you see, the good part with democracy is that you make your own independent decisions. however, when you talk about us being in the alliance, first of all, if I can take you back, we are the people that were at the formation of the UPND alliance.
Mm.
So we are the original owners of the alliance. So to talk about breaking away from the UPND alliance, I think for now it can't suffice. Reasons being is that we are the brainchildren of that particular formation. So the fact that we are amongst the co-founders of that alliance, I can assure you that we are there to stay. And I think the blood in us now is the UPND alliance. And reasons are very simple, because we were there at the formation of this particular alliance. So for us to start thinking of introspecting the breakaway, I think for us it can suffice. So basically we are in it, and will forever be in it up until then. Because what will lead us to breaking away, really, I don't fear. Because we believe in the leadership of the incumbency. And the president of this republic, Hakainde Hichilema, has given us a direction where the future is guaranteed for the citizens of this country. So only us who believe in him, we will go with him up until the end. So really, breaking away is not an issue. It's a non-issue now.
It's not an issue. We've seen one of the alliance partner, in this case, Mr. Kelvin Wadiafube, this coming August is launching the Zambia Must Prosper political party. Remember, Mr. Fube was also part of the alliance of the United Party for National Development, and even before we can crack a year of UPND in government, is already broken out and forming his own political party. Can you really say maybe some alliance partners feel sidelined, and there is a probability that when Mr. Fube forms his own political party, some alliance members will break out to join his own political party? Is there fairness in the way the alliance partners are being treated by the UPND government?
Generally, life is very fair. You can decide on what you want to become and who you want to be. So, speaking on President Wadiafube, is an independent decision, in as much as he was part of the alliance. If I take you back, the alliances that were there were political parties that were there at its formation stage. And there are those that joined prior to elections. So really they just came in to enforce and deliver change. From my preamble, I did indicate that life is very fair, and then democracy is what it is, that people would choose who they want to become. So coming here and speak about individuals and their futuristic approach, I think for me, he's made an independent decision, and he has not said anything breaking away from the alliance. All that they did was to consolidate the movement at that moment.
Let me just quote something that he said interestingly. If I can quote him, but not correctly, he said, "We have heard the cries of you, the Zambian people. And so we have decided to launch the Zambia Must Prosper political party come August 2021.
And now this leaves a lot of questions to Zambian. Is the alliance really intact and working?
You mean the UPND alliance?
Because these parties really did form an alliance with the UPND, and now we have seen this change, you know?
You see, this is why I said, you as followers of President Hakainde Hichilema, and us who believe in him, others along the way will wither, you understand? If you check back, even at the time within the alliance, or rather within the grouping of the UPND, those that did not believe, withered, you understand? So it's very normal where democracy exists that others will have divergent views and they will make independent decisions. So it's not surprising that within the the common understanding in politics that others will be too ambitious to make their own decisions. So, and those that believe will stick around, because I can tell you to say, even in marriage, you get into marriage there and then, you expect things to flourish within a space of time. It doesn't work like that. You give it time.
But when you just get married, that's when there are sweetest memories and the trust and all those issues before you can go to the future, because that particular point is very important for you to know where you're going.
But I can tell you that you cannot determine destiny. There are certain things that start on a rocky part. It's hard to crack. But you see, when you put in everything, you put in whole within yourselves and believe in what you want to achieve, you will succeed. But those that are meek and weak, trust me, they'll give up along the way. So basically, as we are saying, the fact that we are believers and understand the formation of this organization called the UPND Alliance, we were there at its formation. So we still have hope, and hope is still alive. That I can assure you that the deliverables are earmarked for success, because we have capable leadership now, we have sober leadership now, and for us, that's what comforts us.
There is a saying that alliances kill democracy in a country, because for those who are in the alliance, it's very difficult for you to criticize when you see that the current or incumbent president is making mistakes, or is administration. And now we have seen the other parties, also opposition leaders, coming together to form an alliance. So the question now that bangs for answers is, are these alliances taking us to a dictatorship, or maybe where we only have maybe two political parties in the country contesting, which is very difficult to offer checks and balances? So how sure are we that democracy is intact in a time when everyone is rushing to forming a coalition?
You see, democracy is intact in the sense that even people now, individual characters, are making independent decisions to decide where they should be and where they should go. And that's part of democracy. So really, I can tell you that the future in Zambia, in terms, I think we're torchbearers, if should I say, in Africa, in terms of democracy. So basically, we are saying democracy is guaranteed because the political space is what it is, and this is the reason why individuals are making those independent decisions. So even you, Miriam, can decide to join which political party that you so feel you can go by. So basically, democracy is what it is, and if we are to pay for it, I think let us pay for that. However, we are encouraging political parties to be very objective, especially those that are in the opposition, as well as within the group of UPND Alliance. I think the President has been very categorical. Let us be objective in how we criticize, because if we don't do so, we'll swear away from even facts and the truth. So we have a duty as citizens to criticize objectively, so that we hope this government offer its deliverables as for the campaign promises.
Now, you being in the alliance, don't you think it poses a threat to you, seeing that the opposition, now Opposition Patriotic Front, has formed an alliance with other political parties? Come 2026, they are trying to form an alliance with other...
So we shall cross that bridge after they've formed that.
Don't you think that sends a threat to you?
Well, you see, a threat, however you might put it, of course, we can be threatened because we are coming from that notch of an alliance. So basically, we are saying, we are encouraging them to form that alliance, and as long as, that's what democracy is about. So to be threatened in a democracy, I think it shouldn't be much of an issue. But all that we have to do, it will put us on the tall order where we should even work more harder as a party, as a political party in power. So to put it across to say we are threatened, it shouldn't be an issue. All that we want is that as its formation of the alliance, political parties coming together, all that we're asking for. In a democracy, that's what it is, and it should be what it should be. But our main plea to our political players is that let us help the government and criticize the government objectively. I think that's what we should be discussing here. But to go in alliance because you are bitter, as you might wish to know, is that our colleagues are coming from an electoral defeat. So the question is, even as they are forming that alliance, is it out of heart, or it's out of pressure, or it's out of to show face that this is what they can do, or it's out of bitterness? Because anything that you do with anger cannot come to fruition.
This is Mr. Cassius Akapelwa, who's the Secretary General for the Republican Progressive Party. And of course, the party is in an alliance with the United Party for National Development. And currently, we are discussing the current affairs. And is democracy being threatened by political parties forming coalition, or rather alliances? We know there's a UPND alliance, and now there is an alliance that was currently formed by 12 opposition political party leaders, among them the Patriotic Front, the Democratic Party led by Harry Kalava, we saw Socialist Party, Fred Membe, we saw Savoy Mboila, and others who formed the coalition. And Mr. Akapelwa says they are not a threat to the UPND administration. And of course, he says democracy is not being threatened by that fact. For everyone who's watching us in the comfort of your home, in your offices, on your gadgets, what is your comment with regards to that? Do you think political party alliances are paying the right checks and balances to their leaders? Is the UPND alliance giving the UPND administration the right advice when you look at what is happening around? And of course, the new coalition that has been formed, do you think it is offering the right checks and balances to the current administration? These are some of the issues that we are discussing on the Breakfast Show this morning. So for all those who would like to make your contributions, let's keep them coming. You can send a message on our Facebook page. We will be able to read them. And of course, on the lines that are on the screen, you can send those messages. And of course, call if you have to make a comment. Maybe moving on, we are talking about coalition. Miriam and Mr. Akapelwa, there's just something that I saw the leader of the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, that is Dr. Nevas Mumba, post just I think about a week ago. I don't know if you saw that post where he spoke something. When I analyzed a bit, I tried to figure out, maybe was this said just out of, maybe it's just a saying, or maybe this is emanating from something where he felt as if alliance leaders have been left out, where he indicated to say, where no one calls you, they used to call you, but suddenly people don't call you and involve you in the things that they do. It is informing you that it is time to move on. So this is now brings me to the question of the alliance, leaders in the alliance. Have you been involved in the current affairs of the country by the now administration? Are you leaders being involved to offer your own advice to the government?
Exactly.
Or maybe they're just doing it and you are just supporting because you're in the alliance.
First of all, I think to be fair enough, not everyone can be appointed at the same time. And patience is surely a virtue. Sometimes you can imagine there are so many people in the alliance that were there, like some of us. I've never gone on any platform and complained that I haven't been appointed. All that I've done is that the mistake that an individual would make is to be too over-expectant because you were there to rather, what can I say? You know, Zambia is bigger than anybody of us. There are people that were there in the trenches trying to ensure that there is change that every Zambian hoped for. So if you get to an organization and expect all of a sudden to get what you so wished you should get, unfortunately, is that the appointing authority has a way in which it does things. If you look at those that are complaining within the alliance, are actually those that came yesterday. You get the point? There were people, may so rest in peace, like James Lukuko, who was there toiling and made sure that he put his life on the line. Today we are saying there are people within the alliance that have been appointed and others not. So basically, within a year, we should already start complaining that we've been left out. Really, we have another 4 years. Others can even be appointed after 2 or 3 years. So, and you see, there are those within the UPND that were there at its formation that have not been appointed yet. Then you who came 2 months before an election, you are the loudest complaining. No. Let the process of appointment take its due course with time. So to go around and start complaining, I've not been appointed, it means you had your own selfish reasons to be part of that organization.
If they complain too much that they have not been appointed, when you were going into forming this alliance, did you enter into some sort of agreement such that once we take over government, maybe you were promised, no, you'll be appointed this and that? Is it the case? That's the reason why we are seeing now people forming their own party coming out of the alliances.
Miriam, nobody was invited at its formation of that alliance. People voluntarily, political parties voluntarily came to this organization to ensure that change is effected. Understand? So, that being the case, people should be patient. Because we would call ourselves, we were freedom fighters at that point, because the political space was not there, you understand? So everybody, every citizen had to get involved. You can imagine that there are a lot of citizens that want to get to work in government or get to be appointed. So without patience, then it's going to be a problem, because almost everyone is complaining. The expectation of the Zambian people is way too much. So it's very important and imperative that we take time, we really take time to understand that the appointing authority have their time at which, because on whose space are you going to get in government? Because most all the spaces are already taken. So the process there is to create other activities within the government that everyone should get involved. So if your decision are to get in government to go and eat, then you have a problem. The most important thing is that you do your part and let that time, when that time comes, and then you should be recognized in that sense. So for people to now go on rampage and complaining, I think for me, then I have a problem. Because as a freedom fighter, you have to sacrifice and die a little. And that's what we all did. You understand? So some of us are not complaining to say, no, I've not been appointed, I've not been given anything by the government. No, because we put ourselves on the line. You can imagine, for me, actually, I was the campaign manager of the entire Lusaka district for the mayor of Lusaka.
Okay.
You understand? I understand. I know all the councillors that contested on the UPND ticket. You understand? I worked with them very closely. Even now, there are some that would pick your cause. There are some who would give excuses. But that should not frustrate me, because now this one won and then I should go now on rampage and complain. No. So, within yourself, you can create your own economic activity. Okay? In fact, you've been privileged to be part of the organization that is the ruling party. It's not every time that everyone should go and work in government. Utilize the opportunities that you are within the political party that is in government and create your own economic sense. You understand? Because you have a privilege. So this is what I'm encouraging and advising colleagues, is that if you sit there and wait for an appointment, trust me, you'll be frustrated and you do not know, and you make decisions that will not even help you.
Mr. Capello, an important aspect that you brought up there, where you are advising others who are in the alliance to utilize the opportunity that the UPND administration is in power for you to empower yourself. Talking about that, we have seen some people who are now going back to the old system and fashion of the way things were done in the Patriotic Front, where they are now terrorizing people in markets as way of cadreism. They are saying this is the only way we can eat from this administration because things are hard and the economy is hard and there are no resources. People are not being empowered. So maybe that's the way to go. But maybe before we respond to that, let's pick up a call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Sir, good morning. Thank you so much. And tell us the name where you're calling us from.
I guess we can just use the voice is breaking.
Oh, our voices are breaking. We can hear you. Just tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Then go ahead with
So let me just try to speak the clear, but this is where I have. Thank you very much for giving me the privilege to contribute in the program. Good morning to the best of you the host, as well as the guest.
Good morning, thank you.
The issue of politics regarding, what I call the coming together of political parties.
The alliance.
The alliance, yes. I think that for me, the challenge with the alliances is that from what that has been coming out, and this is not the first one, where such kinds of, sentiments have been expressed by certain political parties within an alliance. I think this is because, the whole issue of, coming into alliance, for me, doesn't seem to have a proper step on how these different political parties come into this alliance. Why do I say so? Because these sentiments that are coming out, for me, they are also in bad faith. Why? Because it appears that those that have expressed dissenting views, it appears that their primary interest or concern is the fact that they seem to have been left out from the executive appointment. Okay? So, if that be the case, then it appears that alliances are formed on the premises of, once government is formed, then these different political parties are supposed to be accommodated into government. So, for me, that is the basis of, alliances being formed. Then I think that it is it's not the right thing. And I think that then even the issues of governance comes into question because each of them have their own different agendas and interests before then coming into an alliance. That's why there's an independent political party. They're registered as an independent political party because they have different agendas, interests. Probably, although it appears that, the issue of ideology doesn't even seem to be there with our political party. But they could have an interest or reason as to why they formed that political party. So once they come into this alliance and then they get to do government, for me, they will not be even doing the right thing at the end of the day because
Hello? Oh, we lost that caller, but I think it should be Reverend Manduli. Reverend Manduli there, we were able to get you, but unfortunately the line cut. But we've gotten all the aspects that you've mentioned with regards to forming a political party or a coalition, or rather an alliance, for the sake of you being appointed in office.
A very good important element that you brought out. If they form these alliances, each and everyone has a different agenda. So yeah.
So Reverend, we got your point, though the line cut. We were unable to get you at the end of the line. I don't know if it's on our side or on your side. But you can still call through and finish that thought. So moving on, Mr. Akapelwa, I was asking the fact that we have now seen a part of Alliance members and, of course, UPND members now going back to the market and doing the same thing that made the PF lose the elections. I think before you came, we were discussing that topic, and we already had a number of callers who were calling and saying Kadarism is still there. Go in the market and see the way they are terrorizing us. So this brings me to this question. Are members in the Alliance really being empowered, or maybe going back to the streets and terrorizing people now is a way to go to raise themselves some of the resources that are needed?
First of all, I think if you look back, I think the employment levels had literally declined. I think UPND coming into government, we found those problems where the backlog on unemployment levels have been too much. So people are trying to find ways and means in which to have an economic survival. But however, you cannot compare the Kadaism in public places then and they are now. I think there are just certain traces of Kadaism that we should admit that obviously, silently, they are emanating in those. But I can tell you that I think you've noticed that in many platforms, I think most of the executive leaders have made those pronouncements to say, we are not tolerating that. So once caught, you're on your own. So basically, would admit to say there are certain traces of Kadaism in most of these public places. But once that is noticed, I think it's incumbent upon our people within the communities to report to relevant authorities where they feel their businesses and individuals' persona are being threatened. You have liberties to go and report such kind of a thing. So the economic situations as we speak, yes, it's tough, but I can tell you that I think the government and the executive, they're doing all that it takes to ensure that like the president, I hear people are talking a lot about, I don't know if we have that topic there, where I know is flying all over the place. I think from the time of campaigns, he was very categorical that he's a marketing officer for this country. And this country is in serious economic turmoil. So you have to lobby and ensure that you travel. So I think the executive is doing everything possible that we industrialize this country so that our young people can get involved in the economic affairs of this country. So I think that's where we headed to.
Okay, so basically before I pose this next question, I would like our tech team to just show a picture of what the head of state said when he was in opposition in 2021. It says, instead of arresting members of the opposition, the government must arrest the rising cost of food. Interesting there.
Well, when was that?
That was 2021 in June. Yeah. So now opposition members are now saying the president is arresting people. The UPND administration is now persecuting people. These are political persecutions, they are claiming. So their accusations are that instead of you, the current administration, addressing the high cost of living, your focus is now on this. Your take on that?
When you say your focus, I wish to dispute that. So people should then break the law with impunity because they feel it's political witch hunt. This country has laws. In as much as we all want to see economic sense economic sense to heighten. The thing is that even as we are focusing on that, then people should not break the law with impunity. Look, I think that statement was made at the time when we were in the opposition. Now we're in the ruling party. And if I might ask you a question, do you think the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema has failed economically? who found a backlog of serious debt, Madam Miriam. To dismantle that debt, it's a process. And as you know, the head of state of this country has made it very clear. We shall not continue to be where we are. We have to ensure that we come out of this backlog and focus now on uplifting the welfare of the Zambian people. How are we going to do that? It's a process. So if you look at what is affecting us economically, it's not something that we've just created. It's something that was adopted. You understand? Baba, you understand? You look at this man who is coming from the business sector. You understand? And he has traceable references of having succeeded of his own. So surely, for us that believe, and then I want to urge the Zambian people to give it a bit of a time to see where this man is taking us. You understand? Because I think he's not here for games. You understand? I know people will have to talk, people will have to criticize, but I think for now, we can't judge him within 10 months. You can't judge leadership within that space of time. I think it will be very, very unfair, that I can assure you. You can start passing judgment, and just after 2 years, at its stage right now, I've always cited these examples. Even the processes of becoming pregnant is a process still birth and raising a child, rather. So for us to now come and start judging, running a country is not like running a home, or rather like running whatever you might call it. There are challenges that come with it. So those challenges, sometimes you found them, and then you have to make sure that you start the cleansing process and put things in order. So surely, but anyway, every Zambian has every right to criticize because it's a democracy. And that's what is very unfortunate. Democracy, people will just want sometimes to just rant, to just make all certain paritables, but it's a democracy.
There were several sentiments made by the opposition Patriotic Front Party saying that the time you were in opposition, you boasted of being economic managers, but it's now down 9 months down the line, you have not yet fixed the economy that you're claiming, and yet again they're saying, in as much as you can say, no, give us time to work, this is what you boasted about, that you are going to fix this.
And just maybe speaking to that, let me add a question. For those who are watching us in studio today, we are joined by Republican Progressive Party Secretary General, Mr. Cassius Akapelwa. And for those who are sending messages on our platform, we are watching and listening and seeing those messages. So I'm going to read one of the messages that is in line with what Miriam has asked. And this is coming from Stephen Muhonga. Thank you so much this morning for tuning in to Camnet TV, Stephen. And your question is, Mr. Akapelwa, please, can you tell the nation what has gone wrong in your alliance in terms of economic governance, if there is any, because this is not how you found it. So that is related to Miriam's question. So perhaps maybe you can respond to Stephen Muhonga's comment.
I'll put it in this context. Look, at the time, do you watch soccer? Okay. So when there's a field of play and you're in the terraces, you're actually the most person that would be there in the terraces to say, why
okay, interesting there.
You understand? But you in the terraces, let you go and be in the field of play. You find that maybe 90 minutes will even go without touching a ball. So at the time that we were in the opposition, the outlook was different. Now we are in the system, and what we found as we were criticizing is different. So the process of cleaning up and putting things to order is a process. So we are asking and appealing to the Zambian people that as the cleansing process is taking place and putting things to order, surely let us give it time and a breather of at least 2 years to see where this leadership of Hakainde Hichilema is taking us. Because to pass judgment now, I think it would be very unfair. That's my opinion as a citizen. Because what you, Miriam and Madame there, you are going through, we're all going through the same things. And obviously, as the head of state, President Hakainde Hichilema, he knows. He is very good at following what is trending. So really, I think I still believe that we're in capable hands. And I can tell you that the deliverables are going to be seen very soon and very soon.
So, Mr. Mwonga's question to say what has gone wrong with the alliance, is there anything wrong with the alliance?
You see, this is one good part with democracy. And we've allowed people to speak, even within our organization. So others have the liberties to criticize. Others have been given the space to frustrate themselves. So here now, we want to see who a true person is with us. Because if you believe and you are in that particular organization, sometimes you take time to sit back and watch. It's not every time that you have to go and talk. Sometimes sit back and do your part within the organization. So to stand out and get frustrated when you just came yesterday, and those odd members that were there, I can tell you, madam, do you know that there are a lot of UPND that were there at its formation that have not been given jobs yet? So you came 2 months ago, you are the loudest. I think it's very unfair. The best thing you can do is that, I still emphasize, utilize the opportunity that you are an individual that is part of the governance system. And you find yourself opportunities within that organization that is government. It's not everyone that can be appointed. Even here at Camnet, not all of you can be in the administration. Others are reporters, others are drivers, others are cameramen, you understand? And they are just those that will be there to push you and say, Miriam Muziva pajanga tuenzwachita so, Iyo pajanga tuenzwachita so, Sharon pajanga tuenzwachita so. So, everybody is contributing to the growth of that particular organization. So, my colleagues, if they are waiting for those appointments, and that's a reason why they joined that particular organization, I think they'll be frustrated along the way, but I encourage them to be strong and take a space where they can as well create the business environment and connect themselves within the business, within the government system, so that they offer economic change to themselves. Otherwise, Mavuto everybody wants. You understand?
No one is left. Mr. Cassius Akapelwa is the Secretary General for the Republican Progressive Party, and of course it is in an alliance with the United Party for National Development. For those who are watching us, one thing you should know is 8 opposition political party leaders have equally formed an alliance, among them the NDC leader Savoy Mboila, the PF Given Luwinda, the economic DP that is led by Harry Kalaba. We've also seen who's this Chilufya Tayali is part of the alliance. We've seen Fred Membe is part of the alliance, and others. So they are also hoping that they will kick the PF and it's the United Party for National Development, please pardon me, out of office in 2026. And they're very, very much confident of doing that. Yes, and of course, we were speaking today to a fact that alliance opposition political parties, are they good for democracy? What is the way forward for the UPND alliance? We've seen others, a part of the alliance leaders forming their own political party. Hopefully they'll remain part of the alliance even as they move, maybe going forward. So we invited Mr. Akapelwa in studio, was speaking to that. So maybe just your concluding remarks with regards to the things that we've discussed today, with regards to the issue of the alliance and going forward. Your concluding remarks. And as you give your concluding remarks, do you think the alliance is still achieving its purpose currently as you go on?
The alliance is achieving its purpose because the alliance members are still within the UPND alliance. And I think if you've noticed, the president, out of the 12, I think out of the 12 of us from the alliance, 7 were appointed in government position, which kudos goes to the appointing authority. So now, if half has gone, surely, what that means is that the other half still have hope, you understand, of those particular appointments. However, just to sum it up, I want to give hope to the Zambian people that you delivered the change you wanted. And this change is within yourselves. So let us encourage the current leadership. Let us criticize objectively because it's a democracy. And no bitter ends to it. If you want to come in politics with bitterness, you die with it. So the best thing we can do is to encourage the government to offer the change economically that they promised. So I think we're on the right trajectory. All that we have to do is to encourage one another as citizens of this country. As Zambians, we are known for unity of purpose. So then we can as well unite so that we can bring the economic sense to the masses of this country. So I think those are my last words, and thank you very much for having invited me to Camnet, and all-weather friend to some of us. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, that is Mr. Cassius Akapelwa, is the Republican Progressive Party Secretary General, and of course they are part of the alliance of the UPND administration. They are part of the people who formed the alliance, and he says as long as what is being done by the current administration is right, they will continue to be in that alliance because they believe in the current UPND administration, and leadership is also encouraged party members who feel they are not yet benefiting anything to utilize this opportunity to make use of anything, of something out of the fact that the UPND is in government. He says stop complaining and take up opportunities. To everyone who was watching us on our different platforms, that is Nalisa Bryan, we've seen that comment, Dixon Mwanza, Ruben Chishimba, though I don't agree with some of the things you've said, but kudos to watching Camnet TV, Nalisa Bryan. We've seen others who kept Stephen Mwanga and others who kept those messages. Others that might not have mentioned you, but hey, when you send us a message, you might not know. I might shout out to you on this program. But for everyone who was watching, for everyone who called on this program, and of course, Pastor Reverend Mandudi there, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate the effort that you make. So from me, my colleague Miriam Kayemba, of course, who will say closing remarks, but for me, for now, it's bye and see you on the other side.
Prudence, you've already said that. You've already said it's bye, so it's bye already.
Okay, remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel. Continue watching Camnet TV and continue giving us those updates. Keep those phone calls coming where there is news, where you see anything happening, call Camnet TV, and we will rush to handle, or rather table those issues. So for now, for me, my colleague, and the entire Camnet TV production team, it's bye and God bless you.